Well, my friends, as you can probably tell, I've moved back into my own house. Most people, when they talk about their moving situations, they're talking about moving out and moving in, but not moving back in, right? It's a weird space. Because on one hand, I'm finally relieved that this whole moving endeavor is over. But on the other hand, I'm disappointed because I wanted to try something new, be closer to my job, things like that. On the one hand, now that I'm in my own house officially, I don't have to worry about keeping it permanently clean. I can relax, take days off. I don't have to be stressed that my phone's gonna go off saying that someone wants to see the house, so now I have to leave work to go get the dog. Even on that same vibe, like I don't have to worry about some of the other things that have come up with the house as time is going on, because now I can deal with it when I can deal with it. I don't have to be spending out the nose on storage units anymore or anything like that. I'm finally home again. So with this new chapter of my life staying here, well, let's embrace it, right? And that's one of the things I'm looking forward to doing here. I've already started making physical changes, some of which you guys have already seen, with moving where things were before to where they're at now. And one of the big ones is I'm using my bed frame that I had from when I was living upstairs in this house here downstairs. Completely different profile. And given that it leans into some of the more dark colors that are present in the room, I wanted to experiment a little more. I wanted to actually embrace living in this space, but embrace it in a more traditional, classical way. Case in point, my chifforobe has not moved at all because basically, A, it's too heavy to move, but also the way that my room and house are situated, this is kind of the best spot for it. But it's a older, much more Art Deco style. It's leaning into the waterfall pattern. It's leaning into all of those very interesting details that are reminiscent of the bygone era that I just love so dearly. And off camera over here is my waterfall wardrobe made around the same time, sometime in the late 40s, early 50s. These both lean into a very specific color, and the room itself has white trim on an off-white wall. Now, I don't necessarily mind the off-white, but given that I want this space, my bedroom here, to be a place that I can do a lot more of my film work in and have better contrast with my lighting and things like that, I'm opting to lean into a little bit more of that dark academia look. And while it means that I now need to worry about trying to move this very heavy piece of furniture, I've also got a roll of painter's tape and a sampler from Sherwin-Williams. So this sampler that I've got here is of Sherwin-Williams 6440 Courtyard Green. This is a color that I'm very excited to use. I'm very excited to see how it's going to look. I've got an edging brush that I'm probably going to end up using and just testing out on one of the walls that most people don't see unless they're exiting the room. And let's see what we get. Let's see how far we get. Because if this turns out to be as good as I hope it is, I'm about to go spend a whole lot of money on paint. You see, one of the aspects of me embracing this journey into classical menswear and classical styles is embracing some of the more antiquated style choices for homes, and that includes things like the furniture and whatnot, but also includes color palettes. And for me, dark green is not necessarily a color that I immediately run towards. However, having had darker colored bedrooms in the past, I kind of took stock and realized, as someone who's a chronic insomniac and everything else, that having a darker room, physically darker because the paint is darker, might actually help with some of those issues. This is the wall where my closet and my bedroom door happen to be. Obviously kind of a weird shape because this is a nook and it's not set up well because there's this whole closet added to the room thing. But we're going to use this side as my test because it just makes more sense, because I can definitely cover up something on this wall if I don't like the color, the way that it looks with just a picture right there, right? It would look really goofy if I did that on any of the other walls, but with this one, I know I can hide posters. I have cool movie posters and game posters from the past that I would happily throw on the wall if I needed to, but we're trying to let the color shine. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm already wearing some beater clothes from when I was doing my car rant stuff, so I already know this shirt's kind of trashed. We're gonna go ahead and tape off this door frame and obviously the baseboards, because the baseboards are white as well. And let's just see what it looks like. At this point now, I've got my brush, I've got my rag to cover my hand up with while I hold this can of green paint. It says to make sure that the surface is clean, dull, and dry. Well, it doesn't get more dull than beige white, does it? I sincerely wish that I had like something to set this on, because my biggest fear is I just spilled this all over the floor. Alright, nice dry clean brush. Whew, here we go. Let's see what this bad boy looks like. Oh, very glad I have that tape now. So as you can tell, it is very, very much still wet, but it's already influencing the way the camera sees me, because now you can see more of my red tones. I'm not as washed out, which means it's working, at least for my ISO. Now, obviously, I'm over here hand painting this using a hand brush. Obviously, when I go to officially do my entire room, I'm gonna have rollers and some friends, and we'll have a great time blasting some jazz music and just knocking this place out very quickly. But with that said, while this is one of those cures in like an hour or two kind of paints, I am still gonna wait till tomorrow before I make my final judgment as far as how I feel about it. But just seeing the shade already and the juxtaposition between it and the white doors and the silver accents and everything else, I am already very, very happy. It's got a great depth of tone to it, even though it's still, again, trying to dry in. There's just the right amounts of greens, blues, and yellows in this paint to really make it pop the way I want it to. And again, while the final judgment won't happen until tomorrow, just based off what I'm seeing now, I can kind of envision where it's gonna go. But again, the drying process changes colors all the time, so we'll check back in tomorrow to see where we're at. Well, here we are. It is several days later, and as you can tell, the coats are finished, the walls are done, and it looks incredible. Like, obviously, the lighting here is much darker, which means I have better control over what my camera's focusing on, things like that. And it's actually been probably about 3 or 4 days of me living in this darkness. And I'll be the first to tell you, I have zero regrets. I love it. I finally have a room in my own house that I've lived in now for 2 years that truly feels like mine, because I've made a significant change that is permanent. Right? I was a renter, then I lived with my folks during the COVID pandemic, and then went back to renting again, and stayed that way until I finally bought this house. And now it feels more like home now. I don't know how to describe it, other than I'm really glad that I did this. It's kind of a weird thing coming back into this space and doing the painting of my room, because you got to realize that for most of my time here since December, I basically was living like a squatter in this house. I had to make sure it was permanently clean. I had all these little side projects I had to do to clean the place up, make it nice, whatever, make it sellable, which basically meant that it had to look like nobody was living here, when in reality somebody was living here. And I think had I just committed and left all my stuff here, it would have been better. But I had already boxed stuff up because I was under the expectation that the house would basically be on the market for a couple of weeks and sold. Because when I was trying to sell, it was absolutely a seller's market. There were maybe 6 houses in my range, in my size, all that stuff available within 30 miles of here. And very quickly that turned into 2,000 because of the Trump layoffs. And then you add the compounding factors that my county raised the tax rates on personal property, because Virginia be like that. It became a train wreck and a mess, and I spent the entire time just worried about my finances, worried about my situation, whatever. And now that I've just kind of embraced just staying here, I feel a lot better. I feel a lot better. Painting my bedroom honestly is allowing me to feel more in control of my space, and also giving me the opportunity to explore and not feel like I'm in a psych ward because every wall in the house is white or some variation of it, right? It gives me a chance to see some life, some colors, some changes to my scenery and environment, so that even though I live alone, I don't feel so alone anymore. You know what I mean? I just feel different. I don't know how to explain it. I just feel better about where I'm at right now. Now, obviously, that does eat into my budget for things such as, some fresh shirts, getting my stuff tailored because I have lost a little bit of weight, things like that. But that's okay, because I would rather live with slightly ill-fitting clothes or things that don't have quite the right dimensions, but have a better peace of mind and sense of peace and safety in my own space. Because the reality is what's up here is more valuable than anything out here. What's going on inside is more important than anything happening outside. Because if you're not okay up here, it doesn't matter what's happening out here. You're just not okay. So with that said, this has been the first ever vlog here on Fat or Dapper. I hope you guys enjoyed this little commentary on my life and where I'm at, but also the nice shade of green that my room is. I can also put it out there that I did finally get a nice neck mounted / chest mounted, however you want to look at it, camera, so we can now go thrift shopping together, get the video footage set up so we can actually get that first person view and see some sights and places and things that I've wanted to do on this channel for a while. I now finally can. So I'm very excited to see what that's going to look like moving forward. But with that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on another episode. Peace.